That's right. Hello and welcome to the Dirty Side of the Grid podcast. I'm Youssef. This is my co-host Mohammed. This is our second episode. We're currently pre-Brazil. It's not really pre-Brazil. Qualifying just ended.
Yeah.
So, during Brazil, let's say.
We live life on the edge. Unlike everyone else who records their sessions on Monday, two aerospace students, we have to do it on Friday. So we're basically, by the time this goes out, it will be like Friday night. So it will be literally the day before the race in Brazil.
Yeah. Coursework. What can you do?
Yeah. I mean, so as you can tell now, we have the full width. You're not sat on the table anymore.
I'm not sat on
You
the
feeling
table.
comfortable?
Thank God.
Nice. And we have a new logo now as well. So
Do you want to explain the logo?
it's pretty good. So hopefully for most fans it'll be fairly obvious, but for new fans, the white outline here is meant to represent a grid box where the drivers will stop on the grid before the race. And then the yellow line is the marker they see. Obviously, just like in a normal car, they can't see the front of their cars. They can't see their own front wings. But what they can see is this yellow line sticking out to the side, which is why it sticks out so far. So they can park their front tyre on there with the front wing hanging over the front.
I think it was during this season, was it quite early on in the season, where Yuki Tsunoda overshot and he had to go literally in reverse and reverse his car all the way till he's like essentially on the yellow
I'd
line.
be so scared, yeah. Imagine just before the lights come on, just before the 5 red lights come on the screen,
And you're
you're
like,
reversing your car.
reverse.
And it's hard to reverse an F1 car as well. I couldn't
Oh.
imagine that. But yeah, so new settings already coming with the improvements. Like
We're
we
still
said,
in the library.
we are still in the library. It's still a Friday night. Luckily, there are no bookings after us, so we can carry on talking for the rest of our lives like we want to. But I will still be trying to cut you off at the end, probably trying to fit us into the time slot.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes. It should be alright. Also, the podcast is now on TikTok. It was uploaded to YouTube like we said it would be. There's a Spotify now. We can make an Apple podcast soon. That shouldn't take too long. That is most places really. We haven't got an Instagram yet, but we could make one.
We're setting up for next week. We're going to have the Apple podcast and the Instagram.
The
section.
combined Instagram, yeah. The current Instagram links are just our personal ones if you want to send us a message or something about how annoying we are. But yeah, so
Let's crack on.
Mexico. How did you find it?
See, I showed you Mexico is going to be boring. Literally, everything happened in the first corner and then it's dead, bro. It's a dead track. I told you, Mexico has to be cut out.
Annoyingly, yeah, you
I was right.
You were right, to be honest.
It's a dead track.
Right at the end, I said I was hoping something big could happen, thinking of contact in the first corner, thinking one of the big guys would get spun out.
It's Valtteri.
Valtteri Bottas got spun. Bro, honestly, he annoyed me so. We're not going to get into it yet, but he annoyed me so much that race. He didn't even do that much, but oh my, I was so angry, bro. Honestly.
You can tell he's a Lewis Hamilton.
No, I'm not. Okay, actually,
He's a
I don't know why I'm trying
Lewis
to hide
Hamilton
it. Yeah.
fanboy.
We didn't get this as well. You're lucky I forgot to do this, but on the whiteboard, which is on the other side of this room, you decided to write Lewis Hamilton sucks on the.
It was on the
oh
screen.
wait,
last
no,
time.
it was on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't in shot, but it was there for me to stare at the entire hour. So that was fun. Right. So you've said what you think of this race.
Boring.
We're now going to do. Well, since this is the first race review episode, I'm going to get 60 seconds up on my phone.
Oh.
And you are going to summarize. I mean, it was
Oh.
kind of boring, so I don't know if we should do 60 or maybe we should do like 45.
Do 60. Do 60.
Or do 60.
Do 60.
I'm sure you'll be able to summarize it. We'll see. This is meant to be hard, but we're going to try and get you to summarize the entire race in 60 seconds. So, before giving you too long to think about what you're going to say, 3, 2, 1, go.
Valtteri crashes and then boring. That's literally the whole race. Why are you surprised? That's literally the whole race. That's the whole race stuff. No. And Pierre Gasly was absolutely incredible. That's all. He came P4, isn't it? P4.
He was P4.
Pierre Gasly is like the most underrated driver on the whole grid.
I mean, you've stopped the review, so we'll get on to Gasly in a minute. That was 21.85 seconds, including the rest of the stuff. Nice. That was great.
It's Mexico. What do you expect?
There we go. So well, I'd say to get into our review then, shall we we'll get into the start. So, during qualifying, we had the very surprising outcome of Mercedes getting a 1-2. I mean, where did that pace come from, realistically? I don't know what happened.
I think if you look at the final lap, Max is blocked. Not blocked, but like, you know, the Yuki... so Yuki went off, and then, what's his name, Perez went off, and he went across, and I think that kind of put Max a bit off.
Yeah.
Do you know, actually, was it during qualifying, the reason Perez was so slow is he had the damaged rear wing of Max's car.
Yeah.
That's why he was doing so badly. So I feel like I'm kind of happy for him he got a podium. Because even when the team was screwing with him, he still got a podium out of it. And you can tell Red Bull are the type of team that they put Max before everything. Like, Max has to have everything, like, perfect. The other guy doesn't matter. And then they're like, oh, we can't find a good second driver. Obviously, you can't find a good second driver. When you give him a broken rear wing and expect him to go out and perform perfectly.
It does seem like in the job description it does say do everything you can to get Max win the title, and then
they don't even care. That's the thing. They don't like. I don't think Christian Horner cares about the constructors. He only cares about the drivers, which is surprising. But like his attitude only screams drivers' championship. Whereas Toto, they think more as a team. Yeah, but I don't get that.
It does. Him and Claire Williams. One of the things I found annoying about them was the. Obviously, when both of them had cars that weren't performing very well in not great machinery, so Max, in the past few years, he hasn't been able to compete for a championship with the Red Bull. And the same with George, his talent was clearly way better, and still is clearly way better than what Williams could provide him with. They'd go into interviews, and honestly, I'm not going to say it, but the way they were talking about those drivers, every single interview, they're like, oh, the talent, Max is so good, George is so talented, we hope he stays with us, you know, and they just, honestly, the amount of praise they gave them, it was beyond the normal level of praising your driver, like, they constantly wouldn't shut up about it, and I just found it so
annoying. I think if you watch, like, Formula 1 in the old days, that never really used to happen.
No, yeah, they didn't really
not to this drivers
level. No, definitely not to that level,
no.
No way. But you're right, so he goes on afterwards, Horner goes into the interviews, and then instantly goes, I think we got Sonoded, which is interesting to say about your 20-year-old rookie who was, you know, was he giving Perez or Gasly a toe? He was giving Gasly a toe, I think, and that's why he was there in the first place. So not only is he out there helping his teammate, got into Q3 when he had an engine penalty anyway, so he was going to the back of the grid, he was just purely out there to help his teammate. And then, not only were both drivers, I'm pretty sure Perez and Verstappen weren't going to improve on their times anyway, he was off the track. Like, I know he was kicking up dust, and Perez is thinking, worst case scenario, I'm not trying to crash into someone and kill someone. But he's out the way. Obviously, there's more he could have done, but it's not his fault, I would say.
No, I think his team principal is what's his name? I forgot his name.
Franz Tost, was it?
Yeah,
is it Franz Tost?
Yeah, I think so. He came out and he basically was like, the hell are they talking about? He said that, literally said that. I don't get, like, that's the thing, I don't get Christian Horner. Like, when he came out after, was it Silverstone? The stuff he was saying about Lewis Hamilton.
Oh,
you know, it's a technical foul or something.
Yeah.
The stuff he said after that was incredibly, like, just dumb. Like,
I think he even compared the racist abuse Lewis would get to the kind of abuse Max gets.
Yeah,
which
I
obviously
don't get,
all abuse in general is wrong, but there's a different level when you're bringing in when you're bringing racing to it. That's just.
I don't get I don't get race as in like circuit race.
You're such a dad, bro.
I have to break the tension of that, you know. But I don't get like the way he talked about it was just he blew it. Like, I know, like, Max went into the barrier and 50 Gs or whatever, but it wasn't that big of an incident. Like, yeah, he went for checkups and stuff, but he just went for checkups.
Yeah, honestly, the way the hospital card was used.
Yeah, I don't get it. It wasn't.
I understand it was
I like Max. I actually like Max. I don't want Hamilton to win the championship, but the way they did it, the whole thing, the whole saga, the whole drama around it, it did not deserve all of that, because Carlos went in the barrier in Russia, and I think it was almost 40 Gs, and they didn't. It was literally just like he got out and I think he went for checks and that's it. It wasn't. Obviously, it was just no. This is a few years back when he.
Oh, you mean when he crashed into?
Yeah, like I think his tire went out and he just went straight into the barrier for like 40 Gs.
Do you mean when he skipped the first corner? And
No,
then
this is
tried
in
to
Russia. It was down like the straight.
Yeah, when he tried to regain. He was at he was at McLaren. He goes off.
This is when he was Toro Rosso.
Oh, okay.
Like you can search it.
I'll get up. That's it.
And then Marcus Ericsson? He had the worst crash in Formula, like in terms of G's in Formula 1 history.
Oh,
and
was this? Wait,
yeah.
That was the worst crash.
Yeah, you can put it.
You mean the one when he was rolling?
I think so. And no one it wasn't made a big deal of no one made a big deal out of it like they did, which I think is just like relax. Like it wasn't that bad. Yeah, I didn't like the way he spoke. So Christian Horner always blows everything out of proportion.
There we go.
This is the
So
this is the Marcus
so this is
Ericsson
him
one.
at turn 1 and he goes over and.
Yeah. So this is one of the I think the highest in terms of G's that was ever pulled in an F1 car.
Back to this. Whoops! Now you can see all my files and stuff.
Whoops. Yeah.
It's just
Wrong logo, bro.
Is this the wrong one?
Yes.
Oh wait, yeah, it is. There we go. Right. Let's not do that again. So
Sorry, technical difficulties. Yeah.
Hopefully.
I'm not a fan of Christian Horner and the way he does things, basically.
Yeah, and even then, actually, you saw Mercedes. What's it called? Mercedes social media manager, or Mercedes in general on socials. They commented. I believe Yuki posted something on Twitter, and he said something like, "There's nothing more I could do," and then one of the first replies, well, obviously it came up first because it's one of the most liked, was Mercedes saying, keep your head up or something, don't let the haters get you down. Which was very nice of them, and clearly very different to Red Bull, who
And
then
it's
actually
like
went
red
on
in
to...
their face, isn't it?
It was bad, and then the worst part is Red Bull then went on to do the same thing about Bottas. I can't remember what happened, it might have been after Bottas got spun or something. They posted the exact same thing about Bottas, trying to take the mate, like... It's just bad, honestly. Red Bull's just making themselves look bad at this point. It's not great.
I'm not a fan of the way their team is run. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So, who would you say then had the best performance of the
Pierre.
of the weekend?
That's easy. I think Pierre had the best performance. I think, we're talking about Sergio Perez. I don't think he performed badly, but
Yeah.
he went up as a one position, and he didn't really do that much. I don't know. I think Pierre, honestly, the fact that he kept P4 is incredibly impressive. Obviously, with Valtteri gone, there is a chance of someone getting P4. The fact that he kept 2 Ferraris behind him, the McLarens behind him, much quicker cars.
Yeah.
That's incredibly impressive, I think. There was also that thing with Charles and Sainz and...
I was going to bring that up, actually.
But I think even if he let him pass, I don't think Sainz would have... I don't think he would have caught him earlier. Talking
Oh, if you did that right.
I don't think he would have caught up to him. I don't think he would have passed him. I think
they were too far behind.
I think Pierre, you have to say he's able to extract a lot out of the car. The car, the performance it has, it should be nowhere near P4.
Yeah,
and he's been incredibly consistent over the past 2 years, probably. Since he's left Red Bull, he's been performing really well. I don't want to say I'm surprised that he's not in a Red Bull. If he's in a Mercedes, I think he'd be back in the main team. But I don't think Red Bull, the way they run their team, I don't think he's ever going to go back to Red Bull.
No, yeah. So that's what I was going to bring up. So before we talk about Ferrari quickly, Gasly is at AlphaTauri now. He's there until he either decides to leave himself and find somewhere better to go, or until Red Bull decide, we're not going to put you in a Red Bull anyway. We might as well bring some new talent into the car and replace him once Yuki maybe is a little bit... He doesn't need the help of an experienced driver. My question is, where does he go? Because he's clearly talented and he's doing very well. He's, like you said, one of the most consistent on the grid right now. Where does he go to further his career from?
Was it Marco? Helmut Marco spoke about this. He was like, I think next season will be the last for Pierre and Red Bull.
No, he mentioned that.
I think I read something along the lines of that, which...
See, as you can tell on this podcast, we come with very official information.
Yeah, I remember reading it. It was,
no, yeah.
It was. I don't remember the source, but I remember reading something along the lines. It was actually quoted from him, but
that guy talks so much.
I know, but if
realistically,
right.
if he's saying
that's
it, he means it.
After the end of that year, Tsunoda have been in AlphaTauri for 2 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he's proved himself to be in a Red Bull. I think they're happy with Sergio this year.
No, but if he's staying in AlphaTauri, he's staying
That's
in
the thing,
AlphaTauri.
it's fine.
Really.
He can stay at AlphaTauri. So I think after 2 years, they think he'll have enough experience to lead the team. Whether he will or not, that's
leading
another
the team,
debate.
It sounds tough, but you've got to remember AlphaTauri is literally the only team on the grid that isn't trying to win the championship.
Exactly.
Every other team, if they had the budget or the best car or whatever it was, they'd try and win. This one is literally Red Bull's like understudy.
Exactly. So basically, after 2 years, you can say, okay, he'll be the lead driver, bring up another young talent, essentially. And they have quite a few, like, they have Liam Lawson, they have, what's his name, Deruvalo. They have quite a few very, very talented drivers.
They're known for, Red Bull,
So-
the young driver program at Red Bull is always known for bringing.
So they have, like, there's also Alex Albon, you can put his name. But-
You could do it to be fair. Yeah, it is only AlphaTauri, they could just shove him in there for the
But
sake.
basically, you have a lot of talented drivers. After this year, the reason I think they kept him this year is, like, obviously this year, Tsunoda coming in, no experienced driver, they need an experienced driver. Next year,
Yeah.
I think if Tsunoda had performed incredibly consistently this year, Gasly would have gone. So next year he's only staying because he actually got most of the points for the team. Tsunoda got very, very few. So from next year onwards, though, where is he gonna go? I think, realistically speaking,
I mean,
Williams might be an option. I think.
Yeah.
Alfa Romeo, perhaps, depending on who they sign as. I don't see Valtteri going, to be honest. So it depends on who goes into that second seat.
Mm.
I don't see Haas, to be honest. I
No one wants to go to Haas.
Yeah, but so basically he's only left with the second seat in AlphaTauri. Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
And a seat at Williams, which I think would probably be Latifi who's gonna go.
Yeah, I mean now they've got the new American.
Exactly.
They don't
need
really
the money.
need a Pedro. Yeah, they don't need his money anymore.
So who else on the grid could they? AlphaTauri is obviously out. Red Bull's
You know what?
out.
Let me get the list. Of
Mercedes is out. That's 5 teams.
Imagine he replaces Lewis when he retires. That'd be insane.
Alpine is an option as well.
Alpine once Alonso retires. That's a good point.
So
Because
Alonso, I think Alonso's next year his last year, isn't it? On his contract, he had 2 years on the contract. So I think if he retires at the end of next year, that's an option. Obviously Mercedes out, Red Bull's out, Ferrari's out. I think
Ferrari's out.
because if Sainz goes, then Mick Schumacher's gonna come in.
Yeah,
which
and
I
Sainz really shouldn't go as well.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he's performed so well. I don't think he should go. McLaren's out. I think if that's the thing, McLaren, if they let go of Daniel Ricciardo, which I don't think they're gonna do, because they haven't kind of gotten a lot out of it. I think they'll keep him for next year, because I think they realized the car this year does not suit him.
Yeah.
But I think that was just a bad excuse. But they kept him. I think they kept him for next year because they realized that this year does not really matter that much.
True.
It's
very
all
true.
about next year.
And he's a proven talent. The thing with the other drivers is, you know, you put them in this car, you don't know. You put them in this car, you don't know. He was at Red Bull and he was on pace with Verstappen. Like
Debatable.
he held up a fight with him most of the time.
Yeah.
Like he's not like ever since he left. The second driver of Red Bull's been nowhere near.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because they've always been revolving the car around Max, and that's why Daniel left in the first place, because he knew he didn't want to be like Max's second driver. But
I think Alpine's an option. I don't think Aston Martin's an option.
I don't think Aston's an option.
Unless Sebastian retires.
Actually, yeah, Vettel's actually a lot younger than you'd think he is.
Yeah, I don't. That's the thing, because he won like 4 championships in his early.
But he's like 2 years younger than Lewis, I believe.
Yeah, so I don't see Seb retiring at the end of next year.
I mean, what if he takes Stroll's seat? You know,
No, Stroll is not. Let's be honest, Stroll is going. You know, Stroll's 23.
Really?
Yeah, Stroll's 23. Bro, he's so young. He's 34, so he can easily go like 5 more years.
Yeah, that's like the same age as Bottas.
Yeah, so basically Williams. So he only has Williams, Alpine, Alfa Romeo essentially.
Yeah, I mean.
If
Haas,
right.
I thought Aston was the one.
He can go Haas if
he wants to be Mazepin
if Sainz leaves and what's his name goes.
Oh, and
Schumacher goes to Ferrari.
And then he is Mazepin's second driver. You've got. I mean, Mazepin does need a wingman. To be fair, that is a role that's open. Right, if you shake the tail wheel.
Mazepin.
Right. So. What do we have next? Well. All that talk about Gasly was about the best performance.
Basically.
I do want to mention quickly, Ferrari with the team orders. do you think Ferrari are in a better place now in terms of management? Since before, there are loads of examples of Ferrari, especially with Kimi and Vettel. What they do is Kimi was Vettel's second driver, but every time they went and needed to make a decision on putting Vettel ahead of Kimi, it was such an obvious choice. There was very rarely a situation where keeping Kimi in front of Vettel was a good decision. They'd still take too long to do it. So they'd ask them both, what are your speeds, what are your paces. Vettel would be like, get him out of the way. Kimi wouldn't move. Get out. Kimi wouldn't move, but obviously that's not because he's being stubborn. He would listen to them. It's just they wouldn't tell him to do it.
Exactly.
So at certain times what they do is they tell Kimi, we need to get you out of the way or whatever, or do you think you can go faster? They'd say, do you think you could go faster? And he would say, listen, if you want me to get out of the way for Vettel, just tell me. Like, I'll get out of the way if you need me to do, just tell me to.
That's actually, I think he's one of the best second drivers in the sense that he just did not care.
Yeah, no, he
did not care at all.
He was so good.
I really like him. I'm actually quite sad he's leaving.
It's not going to be the same without him, to be fair.
I don't think, they took so long to make the decision, but that's the thing. There was I think a second and a half between them for quite a few laps, and he couldn't get closer to Leclerc. And Leclerc is not going to move out if he's like, he can't even catch me.
Yeah.
So he's not even close for me to move. So why are you talking about me moving out of the way? So I think that's what stopped him, is because Carlos couldn't get close enough to actually Charles. Sense. How are you going to get close enough to Gasly?
But it is I'd say it's positive for them, seeing as...
It's not as bad as it used to be.
Yeah, exactly. So they did make the decision in the end. They swapped them.
But I think it took too long.
It took too long, but to be fair, luckily for them, the gap to Gasly was so big at this point anyway.
Technical difficulties. My phone is going to pass out, basically.
So... What was I even saying, bro? So at this point, yeah, the time they wasted anyway was no problem because they were never going to catch Gasly. So it didn't cost them anything, and then they swapped back afterwards just to keep the agreement.
But I think it shows also at the same time, like if it's Mercedes, he's out of the way quite quickly. If it's Valtteri.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But
so I think there's that.
I mean, he gets out of the way quickly for Verstappen as well, to be honest.
We'll
get onto that in a second, bro. That's next.
That is actually true. But that's the thing, I think there is a bit of inexperience in the team. It's the same with McLaren. You know McLaren, that's the thing, you saw it in... Russia. Yeah, we spoke about this. You saw in Russia, their inexperience leading a race, and they trusted Lando, which, okay, fair enough, but they had more data than Lando had. They saw the rain was coming in, and then they let him stay out. He went down, was it P7, I think? Like, he wasn't even in the top 5, like, not even close. And I think that shows inexperience of leading a race and the decisions you make at the front. Mercedes are a lot better at this because they've done it so long. Obviously this year, there's the debate that Mercedes have kind of dropped off. The question is, do you need to change the people who are like, some of the people who are working on the, strategy?
Yeah, that's right.
Because they've made so many mistakes this year that maybe perhaps you need fresh blood in there.
You mean a Mercedes or?
Yeah, I mean a Mercedes. There's also the debate of like, Mercedes lost their head of development for the engine at the start of this year to Red Bull.
Oh wait, to Red Bull?
To Red Bull.
No way.
Yes. And this is the first year in a very, very, very long time that Mercedes are struggling with engine reliability issues.
It must be the question 2014. Yeah.
So the question is
probably longer.
The question is, him leaving, has that actually caused... People asked Toto this, and Toto said, no, yeah, and this is it. But...
He would say that, yeah.
He left, and now you're having engine reliability issues. Literally, Lewis is on his 5th engine, Valtteri's on his 6th engine. 6!
Bro, before we even mentioned Brazil...
Lewis on 5, bro!
He's about to take a penalty tomorrow, at the end of tomorrow, before the race on Sunday.
That's insane, honestly. I think that says a lot. You don't need to say anything else.
It's very true, Yeah. Maybe this year, I really hope not, because it would ruin the championship, but it could be the first time since, I want to say 2018 Austria is the one that comes to mind, that a Mercedes ended up retiring due to engine issues or something. Could you imagine?
That would ruin the championship, I'm not gonna lie.
It would. So, on to the worst performance now. I mentioned, personally for me, I'm going to get onto this straight away, Bottas. Worst performance, horrendous.
Ricardo.
Ricardo.
See, you can tell he's a loose
Listen,
champion.
Ricardo was ahead of Bottas.
You can tell he's a
It
loose
was bad,
champion.
but he kept Bottas behind him pretty much the entire race. Now, this is why Bottas is awful, yeah? So, right at the beginning...
He took 1 point from Verstappen.
It took him 2 tries. To be fair, that was partly his luck, because Verstappen did slow down, actually, if you saw. Verstappen was leading, he slowed down by like 4 seconds just to ruin his lap, and then Bottas had to pit again afterwards. But, honestly, so, we're at the start. Bottas is in pole position. Lewis is alongside him. Max Verstappen is behind Bottas.
It just leaves the door open for Max.
It's so bad. So he starts off, first of all, his start wasn't as good as Lewis. If it was as good as Lewis, he could have gone in front of Lewis, given him the slipstream, and then let him off. Like, before even the braking zone into turn 1, he would have given him the space, the pass is done, first, second, third. The only thing that's changed is the 2 Mercedes have switched. Instead, his start isn't as good, and now they're side by side. So Lewis is now not gaining anything from being alongside him because he doesn't get a slipstream. Max Verstappen, on the other hand, gets to choose. He can get a slipstream from Bottas, he can get a slipstream from Lewis. He chooses Bottas, he stays where he is, shortest
I'm
distance.
surprised Bottas didn't go like to the
This
left.
is what I'm saying. So he comes in and he moves over to the right as if he's defending from Lewis. As if he's trying to keep the lead from
Keep Lewis behind.
Why? And then this is the worst part. The way they're positioned now, if Lewis is about halfway alongside him, they've created literally, this is what the police in the UK do, they create a box so you can't go anywhere, and they trap you in and that's how they pull you over. They've done that now. Obviously not on purpose, but they've created the box. If he moves to the left, Max Verstappen now on his left has grass, on his right has Lewis Hamilton, and in front of him has Valtteri Bottas. He can't move. He's trapped there until the braking zone, and now you've basically, if you cut off his line through turn 1, he can't go anywhere. He's third now.
And Lewis can just go through.
Even if Lewis stays second, he's still ahead of Max. We're all sorted. He moves over to defend from Lewis. The gap is there, more than a car's width. Perfect. Look, Verstappen straight line, perfect. And obviously credit to him for being late on the brakes and making the move. But he had the racing line. Not only have you given him space on the outside, you've also given him the racing line. Like, what is this? It's horrendous, bro. It's so bad. Like, why?
I've been telling you for so long that Valtteri is very good at qualifying. His racecraft is horrendous.
Yeah, honestly. It reminds me of Russia when he left the door open to him. Max was coming from last, and then he catches up to Bottas, who's at like 10th at this point. First time of asking. He doesn't take him multiple laps. This is a Mercedes we're talking about. He goes up the inside of him as the move is done. Honestly. It's so disappointing, bro. And then, not only does he do that, he brakes early, he gets out of the way. Max now has the lead. He gets spun around by Ricardo, and then spends the entire race behind him.
But that's the thing, that's his issue. When he gets pushed to the back, he can't make up places.
Yeah, this is the point you were making last time.
The same problem with Perez as well, I think, this year in the Red Bull. He's not been able to make a lot of places up.
Well, so I would say we'd go on to the most underrated drive, but we've gone with Gasly for this one. Very clearly Gasly.
Yeah.
Definitely Gasly. So, I don't know, it's tough. So, we've come to Brazil now. We've just seen qualifying, watched it on the big screen, and Mercedes looking quickest at the moment, which is sort of surprising for me because normally Red Bull's slightly better. But I feel
it's surprising how big the gap is, because it was 4 tenths on the pole lap. I'm calling it pole position. I don't care what they say. That's pole position. It was 4 tenths, which is huge.
Yeah, it's very significant. I feel like I don't know.
I feel like if
they
that
have another
stays that
practice
way,
session.
if that stays that way, I feel like Lewis can take the 5 grid penalty. Like if he wins, obviously the sprint qualifying, and he can then go on and make up the 5 positions and win the race.
He could win the race.
I think so. 5 positions from 5th to 1st. I think he could win.
I don't think he's overtaking Max. I feel like he could make a decent.
Valtteri could always hit him and take him out of the race. But Lewis only has to make 2.
Valtteri would probably miss, to be honest, bro. He'd try and miss. He'd give him too much room.
And then basically there'd be like a massive gap between them by the end of the lap.
He'd ruin his own front wing, to be honest. He'd try to take him out. He's ruined his own front wing in the process.
Yeah, I have one piece of controversial news though.
What's this?
There are rumors that Audi is looking to buy out McLaren.
Oh, I have seen this, yeah.
That just
Imagine.
hurts.
Imagine, bro.
Hurt. Like, I don't care if Mercedes leaves. I don't care if Red Bull leaves. I don't care if, like, okay, the only 2 teams on the grid, 3, okay, 3.
Three.
If they leave, I'm actually sad.
Yeah.
Ferrari, obviously Ferrari.
Yeah.
But Ferrari's going nowhere, realistically. Ferrari's
No, yeah, there's no way Ferrari.
So it's only 2 teams who leave, or at least if their name leaves the Formula 1, it's depressing, which is McLaren and Williams.
Yeah. Older,
and to think
newer fans won't understand.
Audi's thinking of buying McLaren is just, that just like...
The fact that's even being considered is disgusting, because for people that don't know...
No, I don't think McLaren are considering, I think it's Audi are
Well, the fact that they think it's on the cards is insane, because obviously they're just rumours at this point, but McLaren is very clearly well established as the second most historic team on the grid. They have an incredible history on there. It's only behind Ferrari. And then Williams as well, it's brought up from Sir Frank Williams. It became, well, I think Mercedes are now rivaling it after their period of domination, but the difference between Williams and Mercedes, now they have similar statistics, is Williams did it over a much longer period with some of the most legendary drivers you've ever heard of.
Nigel Mansell, Prost,
Damon Hill.
Hill.
Not quite the level of the other ones, but still very
Nico
good.
Rosberg.
But yeah, no,
Who
Williams
else
has some
do for
incredible
Williams?
stuff.
The King. The
Oh no. Oh, I thought you were going to say Maldonado.
No.
Still with their last
Latifi,
win
bro.
on the board, 2012 Spain.
Bro, that's just...
What a guy.
Sad, bro, honestly.
But no,
Sad.
yeah, they can't leave the grid. The other teams, they come and go, they get bought out.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
Those three,
It's
yeah.
because McLaren have been in, essentially, they've been losing money for the past few seasons.
I think they had to sell their
They've had to sell,
technology
yeah.
centre because of
Something like
COVID.
that, yeah.
I think they're renting or something.
No, but they've lost actually a bit of money, like, they've been losing money for like a year even before COVID.
Oh, okay.
So that's why Audi's interested.
It's when Lawrence Stroll comes in, he starts his monopoly, he buys a second F1 team.
See,
He
it's
has
interesting.
more kids on the way.
I'd actually be interested if Audi, say, buy out 50% of the team and became Audi McLaren, for instance.
Actually, yeah, that's
I think that would
that
be.
makes sense.
I think that would be really interesting.
They could become title sponsors if they make the engine. So instead of being McLaren,
Yeah,
Mercedes,
but that would be
it
like
is-
2026, isn't it?
Oh yeah, true.
But I mean, in terms of if the team actually became Audi McLaren or McLaren Audi or whatever,
Mm.
I don't mind that.
Yeah, some teams have extremely long names.
I don't mind that at all because it would still be McLaren
Yeah.
and people forget about Audi.
Just like now, the Williams name is still in F1, but the
Exactly.
family left last year.
Exactly.
So they got bought out.
So I don't care if like they add the Audi name in because obviously McLaren had like quite a few names, a lot of names. Like there's the West one, there is that's like the Räikkönen one.
Oh yeah.
There's
We're talking
the
late 90s.
Mercedes
I
one.
think.
Renault was in the name like a few years back. I think.
They've used the engine
Honda
supply
was
name
in
a
the
few
name.
times. McLaren.
Yeah, so I don't care if they add the name, but everyone's gonna still look at it as the McLaren.
Of course.
Everyone's gonna mention McLaren. And I don't want to see the team gone and the team history gone and all of that, because I think it brings a lot to Formula One as a sport, having these kind of 3 legendary teams.
Yeah, it's like the tracks. You can't get rid of Silverstone. You can't get as much as we'd love to. We can't get rid of Monaco. You can't get rid of Brazil. I'd say you really shouldn't leave.
Don't get me
Spa.
started. No, but that's the Brazil is actually an interesting race. There is good racing in Brazil, so I don't think it should.
Brazil, Spa,
Monaco
all
is
of these big
bad,
ones.
bro. Monaco, the racing is
It's
trash.
just the fact it's historic. I know it's bad. It's just
I think solving it is very easy. Make the car smaller.
true. Yeah.
Formula E, they were passing and it was easy.
Yeah, doing this again.
Formula 1, bro, they can't pass because their cars are massive. Why is the car so big?
I don't know, but well,
You can tell I hate Monaco.
you do.
Really
You do.
tell I hate Monaco.
Well, one thing they've tried
I
to
don't
make
hate
it
Monaco.
interesting-
I just hate bad racing. Monaco is
Yeah.
the worst. Ricardo won, was it? He had 60% engine power.
2018, yeah.
He still won. That says everything.
The entire race as well. He
Vettel
lost
was
it like 20 laps.
Vettel was literally like right behind it. He couldn't do anything. Verstappen behind Lewis when Lewis had like, was it 50-year-old tires?
the AWS graphic comes up 0% tires.
Bro, he was literally like right behind him for so many laps and he couldn't pass.
Yeah, it's bad.
You know what this reminds me of? The most iconic picture in Formula 1 history. I know we're bouncing around topics, but it's the image of Mika Häkkinen and Michael Schumacher. When Mika Häkkinen is standing like doing like, that image is just like...
Even though I know, yeah, that was big. So anyway, what they're trying to do now to make the sport more interesting, or to make new fans have something to look forward to, because obviously first stint, second stint, it gets boring even for us. What they do now is when they try and undercut, I know this has been there for about a year now, I think it's a year, they'll come up with the predicted graphic. So they'll say striking distance this many laps, they'll say overtake difficulty this hard. They've run the data, they've done all this. I want to ask you, it's trying to run the line between making it interesting, but also for older fans it's now ruining the unpredictability of the sport.
I don't think so. I think it actually makes it really interesting. Like, I think it added a lot to, say, Bahrain. Because Bahrain, you saw Max was in striking distance, and we had was it 10 laps or something like that, and you could see he was closing in on Lewis very quickly, and I think it added a new dimension of, you can see how close it is, and you can see how quickly he's gaining. And it's not just in the Chinese screen on the side where no one really...
Yeah, back in the day we do the maths in our heads.
Yeah,
you say 20 laps, second a lap, 15 laps to go.
It's a bit dead, I think this way it's a lot nicer to watch. The graphics look nice. It looks really interesting. And I think it added a new dimension of, 10 laps Max is definitely going to pass.
Oh, so you prefer
And then
being told
I actually think it adds something new to the sport. In terms of it makes it interesting. It would be interesting to see though, the one thing I dislike this year is there's a massive gap between, say, Lewis, Verstappen, and then everyone else, basically.
Yeah, I mean...
That's the only thing that kind of... When I watch a race, that, okay, if Lewis has a grid penalty, the race is dead because Max is just building a 20-second gap. So I think that's why I'm excited for the new regulations.
Definitely.
Because it's going to be closer racing, not just between... It's not going to be two at the front, hopefully. It's going to be
it's
4 or 5 people go... You actually saw that in the early 2010s.
2010, 2012 as well.
There was a lot of close racing in terms of it's not just one guy obviously Vettel won the championship 10, 11, 12 and 13. But there was still a lot of good racing.
Yeah.
And
varied wins, yeah. I think 2012 is the one where you had the most consecutive different race winners from the start. So I think there were 7 in a row, where the first 7 races were won by 7 different drivers.
Exactly, it was a bit more interesting. But I think 2010 is the one season where he kind of stands out.
It does, yeah.
You go to the final, even the names that were in the title contention at the time was, what was it? It was Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber, Lewis Hamilton, Alonso, Button. Insane names.
All apart from Webber world champions.
Huge names. Yeah, between them, how many titles do they have today? 2 for Fernando.
Yeah.
4 for Vettel.
Yeah.
7 for Lewis. Okay, that's 13.
It was Button as 1.
So that's 14. 14 titles between those guys. And Mark Webber is there, so. I actually like Mark Webber.
Yeah, no, he's great.
I said Mike Webber.
No, Mark Webber's a really likable guy.
I don't think he was on the same level as Sebastian these days. It's the same with someone like David Coulthard.
It's the classic.
He's a great, yeah. No, he's a great driver, but he admits he's I was good enough for race wins, but I just not have that magic touch to go on and win world championships.
Quickly, right, before we get into the rivalry between Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel in 2010.
Multi-21.
Okay, well, I really probably shouldn't mention this, but actually, no, okay, we'll go on. So, the podium, end of the race, obviously a lot of people are talking about Checo's dad now, because he's a great lad. And his kid as well, his kid was on the podium watching on, those were some incredible pictures. I want to ask you, if you've seen Monza before COVID, you know what I'm about to say, because Monza before COVID is insane. Just the fact the podium hangs over the track and then the fans come up underneath it, they have their flags, they wave them, they get them signed.
And the Tifosi are there as well.
The Tifosi there, letting off the stuff with the massive... so not only do they have the flags on the stick that they get the drivers to sign because they're so long up, they obviously have flags over the fans as well.
Exactly.
They're doing and stuff. That podium though, in Mexico was incredible. Would you say it's up there with one of the best?
I think Mexico and Monza are probably the best podium.
Yeah, aside from the race, just purely imagery on the podium.
Yeah, I think those are 2 best podiums probably.
I can't think of another one.
I love Silverstone, but the podium isn't really, the positioning isn't great.
No, it's not the same, yeah.
The rest are just fairly boring, I think.
They're just standard, yeah.
Yeah, I think these ones, they bring a bit more kind of... It's a lot more interesting.
The fact it's around the stadium section as well.
Yeah.
Like, the fans were there, but also the stadium section is
I
surrounded.
think the Mexican and the Italian one, they present a bit more of a kind of party kind of atmosphere. And it's interesting because it makes it a lot more fun than like the other ones. Obviously Imola's not really the case, but Imola this year was more kind of, it was shadowed by like, there weren't any fans really, so.
Yeah. But it's good to be fair.
I don't think there weren't actually any fans at all.
I can't remember.
Because it was the beginning of the year, so it's still like, COVID was still big back then.
I don't think there were.
There weren't any at Imola. Just like Bahrain, there weren't any there.
Oh yeah. Well. So now we've asked that, we're going from the podium to our predictions from last week. So let's see how this went. Even I've forgotten actually what they said.
No.
So let me just get this up.
Until you bring it up, I have a question.
Yes.
Thoughts on... Next one is after Brazil, is going to be Saudi and Qatar.
Yeah.
I think
Qatar and Saudi, sorry.
Qatar and Saudi, okay.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be 2 dead races.
Why? I've just asked you a question. I beg you don't spend like 5 minutes answering this, please.
No.
Why?
I have a feeling they're going to be boring. I said Mexico is going to be boring.
Oh, no, don't do this again. Don't predict it. I swear, I'd be so disappointed if you went and predicted it.
He's going to go to sleep tonight and he's going to be like, boring race, no!
I swear, I didn't believe you last time. I didn't want to believe you.
No, but Mexico is an obvious guess. Like, Mexico is always boring.
Yeah, but I didn't think it stood out that much as being... I knew it wasn't great, but I didn't think it would stand out as like a proper boring track.
It is,
and it did end up as a proper... Yeah, okay.
Okay, you want to say what we predicted?
Right, well, so... What we've got here. Bro, I put predict top 3, predict top 5, but I'm assuming the first one was for quali, I didn't specify. So, qualifying, the top 3 you predicted were Max, Lewis, then Bottas. I went with Max, Bottas, then Lewis, so I did predict that Bottas would out-qualify Lewis. Obviously, we were both wrong because it was the same 3, but Mercedes somehow whipped up the pace, so you can forgive us for messing that up. That's not embarrassing, they're just... No one has any idea how they managed to do that.
Top 5?
I just did fastest laps instead of finishing results.
So smart.
So, the top 5, you said Max, Lewis, Bottas, Gasly, Lando. Now this
oh, yes, I got Gasly! Yo!
This was before Lando had his penalty introduced, so obviously that doesn't
Yo!
count. But we've got Max in the right place, Lewis second is also right. You missed Perez, but Gasly being 4th is also right.
How did I guess it? Bro, this is insane. How did I guess that?
And then I went with...
I totally forgot I guessed it.
Oh, wait, no, I missed Gasly. Oh, bro. I got Max, Lewis, Perez, so I got the podium right. And then I went with Charles and Lando. Charles came 5th.
To be fair, Max, Lewis and Perez was a lot more easier to predict than Gasly.
Yeah, no, you
I win just purely on Gasly, you know.
I'll give you that, yeah. Interestingly, driver of the day, you went with Lando, which, I mean, like, basically no one had a stand-up. No, Gasly really should have got driver of the day. I was about to say no one got a stand-out performance, but that's because no one was moving around a lot and stuff. Perez got driver of the day, and I was right, so predictable. Like I said, he wasn't really going to do much, but he got driver of the day because people were watching.
He only got it because
exactly. Right. And that was it for the predictions, so we'll do our Brazil ones in a second. I'd also like to mention notable things that happened. Ted Kravitz back in the paddock is incredible scenes. Oh, and that actually brings me on, speaking of Sky people, Martin Brundle has now had a rule introduced, not in his name, but essentially because of him, there are no bodyguards allowed on the track anymore.
Yeah, I read about that. Right? Bro, to be fair, why? Okay, I have a question. Why is a bodyguard even on the track? Because it's all personnel and they're too busy doing their job.
Bro, people said this. The drivers are more famous than these celebrities most of the time. Like, what are you doing?
It's not even, that's the thing. Most of them are not like I guess that's the thing. Like when you have very, very big personalities, it's like Shaquille O'Neal. He doesn't need a bodyguard. No one's gonna reach him. Like.
Imagine, bro, one of the skinny Alpha Tauri engineers comes in.
Like I don't get it. Like even who else was on
Bro, there's. I've seen aerospace. We've both seen aerospace engineers. They're not mechanical engineers. No one cares what kind of, you're not touching these basketball players, to be honest. It's not.
That's the no, but
and the celebrities, we don't care about them either.
Yeah, that's true. Let's be honest.
No.
It's not going to make a difference.
Most of the fans don't either. Actually, they really hate it when someone famous comes in onto the grid because they say, "What are they doing? You know, you're not an F1 fan. Why are you here?"
Yeah, it's worse in like places like the US and like Austin. It's always they're really famous.
Yeah, they always love that.
And Silverstone you get, but I think Silverstone they're always out of the way, so it's not really a big issue. They're
I mean,
always in the
Silverstone
garage.
it's harder to convince someone to go into the middle of
Exactly.
nowhere, pretty much in the UK.
Exactly.
Rather
And
than
then
Austin.
Abu Dhabi's one where you get like, do you remember when
I love it.
Lewis won the championship and Prince Harry was on the radio and he's like, congratulations.
That's the most random stuff. Yeah, celebrities will come out of nowhere.
No, but that's the. I don't think he was ever kind of in the middle. Like, I don't care if a celebrity's there, but when he's on the track and walking, and you need bodyguards, like, why do you need
That's
bodyguards? It's literally all restricted personnel. They're all working on the car, and they're all too busy getting the car ready to care that you're passing. Like, so I don't really care. Like,
It's disgusting. And the worst part is she answered his question. Like Megan Thee Stallion specifically, her like when he answered the question, as bad of a question as it was, because obviously he's not really gonna know who she is. He asked her that, do you have some F1 rap for us today? And she says she doesn't. Like she was part of it. She was entertaining it. And then the random nobody out of nowhere comes in. And he's like, oh no, you can't do that. Like, who are you? Like, leave it. Honestly, just this makes me want to look up the Martin Brundle. Like, if you haven't seen Martin Brundle's grid walks, he's been doing them for ages. There are some incredible moments. Honestly, there are some incredible moments. The best part, I'd say, obviously there's a classic one. It was actually at Brazil, I believe, 2000. I want to say 6. Kimi misses a presentation from Pele. I'm not gonna say why. Look it up. He misses the presentation. That's a memorable moment. And I'd say another one of the main ones is.
that's the best one. That's the best one.
All right, we'll say second. This is a generalization, but you know so back in the day they'd have the little umbrella. So the engineer's holding the little umbrella. They have a notepad. They're telling the driver probably hit this lap, do this, whatever. Or, I don't know. They're just giving them instructions. And what they'll do is the pundits or whatever, they'll line up to interview the driver. So now they've got the driver surrounded by at least 3 people, and then the massive cameramen coming in to try and get a quick, 1-2 seconds quick question. How do you feel like you're going to do? How are you feeling? And we're talking pundits from Germany, Italy, the country that they're in for the race, all sorts. And obviously Brundle was limited time. He comes in, he has to the driver's turning around, moving this way, they're covering their mouth so you can't see what they're saying. Brundle has to go in between all of the other people and try, for the second that the driver is ready to answer a question, he has to be in there with his microphone first to answer the question. So he comes in, I believe, there's this one iconic one I saw, they put it on TikTok, it's so funny. Like there's this woman ready, fully in front of the driver, there's someone else asking the question, they're about to leave now. The lady's there, ready to interview the driver, right in front of him, clearly first in the queue. Martin comes in out of nowhere from the side of the driver, comes in, how are you feeling, how are you going to do? It was so funny. I'm pretty sure he was there first, and the lady comes in afterwards thinking she's going to get her interview first. But honestly, what a clip. It's incredible. It's so funny. But yeah, Martin Brundle was a legendary man. Also Ted Kravitz. This is why I mentioned this. I love Ted, to be honest.
I think Martin's actually one of my favourite pundits, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of, I do I'm more kind of I like the channel, is it Channel 4 guys? In terms of it's Mark Webber, David Coulthard, those guys, I think they're a lot better than Martin Brundle and those guys. They cover the races a lot better.
Well, speaking of the race,
are we going to do
tomorrow we do have a race. We have sprint qualifying tomorrow. Then we have the race on Sunday. And like last time, let me just try and remember what we were doing. I'm not a fan, to be honest, personally.
Whoever gets fastest lap has to get pole position. I don't care. You get your quickest over 20 laps. Do not care. That's not pole position. Whoever's done that just has no knowledge of F1.
So your top 3 for qualifying, please.
Sprint qualifying,
though it's a race.
Lewis, Max, Valtteri.
Wow, you back in Bottas? Interesting.
No, I said Lewis, Max, Valtteri.
Yeah, but even to get third.
I think he'll hold it. I think it might actually be Lewis, Valtteri, Max.
Are you gonna change it to that?
Wait. Max is in P2, isn't he?
Are you gonna change it to that? Let me check. I believe so.
Yeah. Then I'm back in this.
I'll just make sure, just
because
so.
the Red Bull
I'm not having.
The Red Bull is a lot. The Red Bull is a lot slower.
Bottas is third, actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this. Valtteri is a lot slower. Like, the Red Bull is a lot slower, so I think he's gonna overtake Lewis.
He's gonna overtake Max, you mean?
No, I'm talking about Max overtaking Lewis. Valtteri is gonna be nowhere close to Bottas.
What is your top three for sprint
Lewis,
qualifying?
Max, Valtteri.
Okay.
I'm saying that Max isn't gonna catch up with Lewis, and I'm saying Valtteri isn't gonna. Valtteri's in no league close to Max. So.
All right, I'm gonna go with. I feel like
you have to go with the same three, you know.
Something mad could happen though.
Like if something
Hamilton,
Verstappen, Perez.
I'm gonna go with Lewis. I feel like Max will be smart enough to keep himself out of trouble.
Max, Perez.
I want to either go Perez. I might even back Gasly to come third.
Nah,
we'll go Perez. I'm gonna go Perez.
And top 5 in the race.
Top 5 in the race from you.
Ooh, I think it's gonna be. I want Lewis to win. No, because I'm not a loser. But I want him to win because I want the championship to go to the last race. Yeah. Just purely for kind of enjoyment, like
it needs to.
Because Abu Dhabi is going to be a dead race unless there's a championship actually.
Yeah.
So, based on that, I'm gonna say Lewis is gonna win the race.
Okay.
Verstappen. Bottas, Perez, Gasly.
So it's Lewis, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Gasly. That's exactly how it's finished.
No, I think Perez will pass Bottas too. No, I think Bottas will.
You think it's going to end exactly how it did today in qualifying?
Yeah, but with Lewis passing everyone.
Oh yeah, because he's taking the penalty.
Yeah.
You still think he's going to win?
I hope he wins. Just because I don't think if he loses. Actually, no, I think it's going to be Verstappen. Yeah, now I'm changing. Okay, you put your thing.
No. You go on. Verstappen, then what?
Verstappen.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Verstappen, Lewis, Bottas, Perez, and then Gasly, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, no, I see that. So
I don't see
Lewis, Bottas, Perez, Gasly.
If he passes Verstappen, that's the thing. Lewis has these moments where for like a good period of the season he's inconsistent. Like the beginning of the season this year, he was consistent. He was doing really well. He didn't have the best car, but he was putting he won in Portugal. Was it Portugal? He got Verstappen.
Yeah, I think so.
Bahrain, all these he did really well.
He had a good run.
Imola, he got back and stuff. He was doing really well, and then he dropped off mid-season. And so I'm interested to see if these last 5 races, is it 4 races? 4 races.
Brazil, Qatar, 4. Yeah.
Lewis can go on a mad run where he just wins. Like he's won 6-7 races on the bounce.
Yeah, and the most he's done this season is 11.
Yeah,
which
so
is a big number.
I'm interested. Obviously, he had a dominant car at the time, but Lewis has the capability to just utterly dominate everyone.
It's almost like he turns it on whenever he wants. Like in 2016, even though he lost, he won the last 5.
Now the interesting part is now he needs to do that. He needs to win.
Yeah. So
I think I was talking about to one of my friends yesterday about this. Has Lewis peaked? Has Lewis reached the top? Is he dropping off?
We're not going to answer this question now, but it's a very good question for because now once again we're running out of time.
Because it's the same thing with Sebastian. People said when he went to Ferrari, oh no, he was not the same Sebastian. He did not have that same fire and that same kind of aggressiveness.
Because he was at Red Bull in early 20s. Like imagine if he peaked in his early 20s. That's so sad.
Yeah, but you say that about 4-time world champion. So
true, very true.
He's one of the best drivers. Like I think he's in the top 10 or top 15.
All time statistically, I think he's like 4th or something.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking
But in general, yeah.
I think best driver of all time, Ayrton Senna, hands down.
Fair.
And then there's an argument for Michael and Lewis, and then Prost, and then after those guys, there's obviously Fangio with them. I think those guys, Fangio. I think after that you have your Mansos, your.
Would you say Alonso as well?
Alonso. I actually honestly think purely on talent. And I'm going to say this.
No way.
Purely on talent.
No. No? Is he going to say it? Hold on.
Purely on talent. Okay. I think Alonso would have
you're going to backtrack it.
No.
You're going to backtrack it.
I'm going to say it, but I'm going to give the reason why. I think Alonso, the reason he did not win more championships is he chose very bad teams to move to.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
I think if he stayed in, like, the 2012 car, the Ferrari car, is dead, and he still managed to compete for a title. So on that basis, I think purely on talent, I think Fernando's more talented than Lewis.
More than Lewis? No, wait, hold on. No.
I think. Wait, let me finish.
Nah. I'm not having this.
Let me finish. I think Lewis is one of the best. Like, statistically speaking, he's the best of all time. But the reason he is the best of all time statistically is because he made one great move to Mercedes.
Yeah.
If Alonso was in that same seat, Alonso's a 9-time world champion.
Yeah, and I admit, the thing is,
if
Alonso is he didn't even pick.
If they're in equal
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll admit, when he won his 2 championships, which you'd assume is the peak of any driver, he didn't peak. Because he then went on to Ferrari, he did very well there. He then went on to McLaren, and as awful as the car was, like, horrendous,
he
was still performing pretty well.
He's doing really well this year.
And even now,
he lost Lewis Hungary. He was the reason Lewis lost Hungary.
True. So clearly he still has the talent, but the difference is Lewis on his debut season in 2007 equaled him on points. That's why I wouldn't have that he's more talented than Lewis. But in general, I would say he's way more talented than 2 world championships. World championships.
I think you know why I say he's more talented than Lewis. When Lewis was in cars that were not when cars were not up there.
Yeah.
Lewis did not win. Like the 27 car, great car, 28 car, great car. Mercedes, all the cars were incredibly dominant. Yeah. When he was in cars that were not incredibly dominant, Lewis did not go on.
He's the only person who's won every single season he's raced in them. He still won in the
But Fernando challenged in that 2012 Ferrari, bro. That car was so slow and he still challenged. I think that's when he peaked, honestly.
2012.
Yeah, if you realistically look at it,
assumption,
because that car was horrendous, and somehow he still brought it to a championship. How I don't. He took it to the last race. Was it 2012 where he took it to the last race? Was that
yes, it was. Yeah, because Vettel. Yeah. Actually, I want to say this: Brazil, incredible track, incredible race. Just upright. I've got to do my top 5 first. Yeah. We've deviated so much. But I need to do
okay, we'll stop this conversation.
We'll carry it on in a second.
We'll have this properly next time. We'll have this discussion properly next time.
We'll do it in a sec. We'll have an opportunity to do this. We have just hit the hour mark. So, just quickly, my top 5, I'm going to say Max is going to win this. Unless Ocon takes him out again, I'd say Max has got he's got the win in the bag.
You can always hope.
Yeah, I can always hope, to be fair.
Valtteri's going to take Max out, that's my prediction.
I say Perez comes second, which makes it a Red Bull 1-2.
Ooh, interesting.
McLaren has the only 1-2 this season. Do I want to say Red Bull going to do it? You know what, yeah, I'm going to say... No, I'm going to say Perez, then Lewis. Lewis comes third. Then I'm going to say Gasly 4th, interestingly. And then I'm going to go with Leclerc. Is that a 5? Have I counted to 5 properly? Yes, I have. Okay, so we've gone Max, Perez, Lewis, Gasly, Leclerc. And now, the last question, it's not a prediction, but I was going to say your favourite moment. Now,
from Brazil.
From Brazil. And this is why I was trying to carry on with this question, because obviously mine is very obvious and I won't mention it yet.
Lewis is 2000.
But
very, very obvious. You're a Lewis Hamilton fanboy. It's always
but 2012 is a very good choice.
I think
because
that's
if you know what happened to Vettel in 2012, he got spun round. Well, it was kind of his fault, but he got spun around in turn 4 on the first lap.
And he did it again. I swear he spun around again. Was it only 2 times or was it once? He went to the back of the grid once, and then he pitted, and then he went quite a few places back again.
I believe so. I mean, it was changeable conditions, so one of the main things was... I think they messed up his tyre strategy maybe, but something happened. He did get sent back again.
So,
Michael Schumacher famously gave him the position.
Exactly, as well. Yeah, and they said that... I remember that. So, I think, Brazil iconic. When you think Brazil and you think iconic, you kind of think when Senna won his first race. That's very iconic.
Yeah, that's huge.
You think Jenson Button winning his first championship and Braun. I think that kind of pops into your mind.
Brazil needs to be the last race of the season.
And I think you think Lewis obviously.
Is that Glock, bro? Is that Glock? That's the real question.
And I think you think 2012. I think those, and you think one race that actually stands to mind Brazil recently, was Max Verstappen in the wet.
16.
When he was just overtaking everybody. And I remember because he saved the car He was
That
going to the
save,
barrier.
oh, I
and he
couldn't
just-
believe it when I saw that.
And he got it somehow out of it, and I was just sitting there, I was like,
I was mad. Yeah, because at this point, Lewis is winning, and I need Max to overtake Nico so that Lewis can win the championship. And he spins it and he saves it, and I was like, this is incredible. I can't believe he did that.
I don't think it's the best, obviously, best Brazil moment.
No,
But-
I mean 2019 was big. The Ferraris crashed into each other. Gasly got his podium side by side with Lewis up to the finish line.
Isn't that where he knocked out Albon?
He did. So Lewis comes third, and then 3 hours later, Sainz gets P3 because Lewis got a penalty.
If I had to choose one moment, which one that stands out to me? Which one do I think back and I think... Obviously, the Lewis one, I think it's between the three, to be honest.
No.
Because I didn't watch the Senna one live, so I can't say that's my favourite moment. So I think it's between Lewis, Jensen, and Vettel. I can't say. Okay, you talk about your favourite moment until I decide.
No, I mean,
obviously,
that Glock is
Lewis,
incredible.
Yeah.
Massa, everyone's seen the clip. Everyone's seen the clip. So it's
his family.
His family celebrating. They're all celebrating.
And then he breaks the thing.
And then McLaren celebrating at the same time. Lewis winning his first championship.
And what's her name? She's running on the track.
Nicole Jersey.
I think just purely on the basis of the race, if I'm talking about race, I think 2012 was a lot, because he had to do a lot, more, essentially. He went back to the back of the grid, recovered incredibly, they screwed him over again, recovered incredibly again, and then there's that moment where Michael just lets him pass.
Yeah.
So if I had to...
Both are massive, to be fair, but...
I think 2012. I think 2012.
And the image of Alonso afterwards. Bro, that's still a gif now in tears, bro. Honestly, I put that on my Twitter side by side. There's the image of him obviously crying after 2012 when he loses, which is honestly heartbreaking. And then there's a similar image of him looking on at Ocon after he won the race.
Oh yeah.
Obviously knowing that he was basically the reason he won the race. Yeah. Not taken away from Ocon, but he held up Lewis.
No, Ocon would not have held up Lewis. No.
So,
but that's the thing that shows his talent, his level of talent, Fernando. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, it's fair enough. Right. That's about it then.
2009. I think 2000.
You're gonna just sidetrack both ones that we did.
2009. Yes. Because I think Jenson Button's actually one of the drivers I actually like. I love him. I love Jenson Button is one of the best. Okay, he's not best driver. But I just really like him.
He's really likable.
Yeah. I think I like him especially afterwards, when he started kind of doing stuff with is it Sky? It's not Sky.
He does a bit of Sky.
Yeah.
He's involved with Williams now as well.
Yeah. So I think. Actually, no. I have to say. Yeah, I can't say 2009. Right. I can't say 2009.
Alright, before you spend another half an hour debating, we've got to wrap it up now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you have to end it before I change it.
So, quickly, just before he changes his mind, this has been the second episode of the Dirty Side of the Grid podcast. We've spoken about pretty much everything yet again. We took about half an hour to get my top 5.
We were sidetracked so badly.
We warned you last week, to be fair, and this was a Mexico episode, and exactly how we said. We've made it interesting. We've somehow filled the entire gap with...
How Fernando is better than Lewis.
I can't even argue that because it's going to end up taking even longer. So before we end up spending our Friday night sat in here arguing in a dark, cold room in the university library about how Verstappen or Lewis or Alonso and who's more talented, we're going to have to say thank you for watching or listening or wherever you're seeing this. Obviously, check out our TikTok. It'll have the best moments on there, if I can find them, hopefully. We'll try and come up with the socials, like we said. We'll have the combined ones up on there.
You'll find them around the video, so whichever social media, you'll find the rest of the links around it, essentially. And
be sure to go into Youssef's Instagram DMs and tell him how wrong he is about Alonso. Because I can't tell him now, so you're going to have to do it for me. So we'll leave it there. All right.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening.
See you next week for the post-Brazil race.
And then pre-Qatar.